Hello and welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Soccer Show. We're talking Saturday's four-game slate at DraftKings. I'm Zdroik, joined by Ryan Belongia. So Ryan, your router's working, but just before the show, Jordan informed me that he had COVID. So now we're switching on with things that are they're going on in our lives. Fortunately, Jordan, he said it was just fatigue, so he's okay. But Ryan, welcome back. You missed out midweek with Champions League, and you win? You won something in a showdown yesterday for Wolves Arsenal, correct?
Yeah. It's been a good week. Got one of the King of the Pitch tickets last Saturday, so that was nice. And then that same lineup took fourth in the 275 for 1,500. Tuesday Champions League, we cashed the 444. Wednesday, we cashed the 444 again. And then last night, solo in the showdown for 10K. So we got a nice little streak going. Nobody captained He-Chan. So that's all it took. And Arsenal got the win too. So, I mean, just, everything's going right.
Man, yeah, this is a heater right here. It's four straight slates. Last week it was you had McAllister in your lineup and you still got the King of the Pitch ticket. This is
Hand
something.
motor.
This is
I
quite the
know,
streak.
right? I know, right?
What before we get into this here, what was the He-Chan captaincy percentage? Like sub 5%?
3% captain.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, that was nice. And then, I stacked it with all the expensive Arsenal players. Lacazette was, only like 30% owned on the slate. So not many He-Chan captains probably had Lacazette. That narrowed it down even more. I had Thomas Partey as the punt. He did well. He scored like 8.5. Yeah, I was actually in solo first and solo second with like a couple minutes left in the game. I was thinking somehow going to take first and second for 15K. Then I don't know. You were probably watching the game. Lacazette scored right at the end. DraftKings, put it as a Lacazette goal, which, knocked me down to seventh. I'm basically like breaking even on the. Then they change it to an own goal and solo 10K. So that's how DFS goes sometimes.
Hey, yeah, all it takes is a Jose Sa. He blocked it into the net. A Lacazette cross and Sa blocked in the net. That's all it takes.
Awesome.
But all right, let's try to do five straight here. So we got Manchester United are the biggest favorite Saturday. Implied goal total at 2.15, and that just stands out a good portion above the rest. This is kind of similar, almost similar. I don't want to say exactly similar. It was midweek, I think it was, except Liverpool, their implied goal total may have been around 2.6, but all the other teams, were down in the one area. So with all the the other three matches have implied goal totals pretty much around 2.5 goals. So at forward, as we're looking to the odds, how much are we putting into the odds first off? Because we have Manchester United as a big favorite, but this isn't Liverpool we're talking about. This is Manchester United we're talking about. This isn't a situation where it's like Mohamed Salah auto goal, TAA Robertson, auto crosses, whatever. How much are we putting into the odds for this slate here?
Yeah, that's an important point you made at the end. If this was Liverpool or City with the rest of these games, yeah, you'd be looking to get as much in as you can because, like you said, the other three games totals under 2.5, low totals, and then you got United, big favorite, home to Watford, which is great spot on paper. So yeah, I think United will be like very popular. And as far as how much we're putting in the odds, something. I mean, yeah, United haven't been great, but Watford aren't great either. It's just a spot where United are going to score a few goals, at least some of the time. But they can definitely bust here too. I mean, I've stacked United plenty of times in these spots, and it never seems to work. That being said, I'm still going to want like some sort of United exposure, probably. The other games, just there's we'll get into players, but there's just not a lot of clear spots to go where you're like, oh, I got to have that guy, or this guy's going to smash. There's just not a lot of those spots, so I think people will people will play Ronaldo and Bruno, of course. They'll be the two most popular, and everyone on United will be popular.
Yeah. Yes, this isn't like if Southampton was in this. There isn't like a James Ward-Prowse at 8K where you can just plug in kind of thing. It's as we get into forward here, it's kind of like you highlighted in your article. That'll be up, rotowire.com.
I can't even believe the two guys I highlighted. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, so Dwight McNeil is where is he? He's 7,400. So like we'll start a little bit in cash games here. I know you don't play too much cash, but like just looking at McNeil here, I think it was this past match against Tottenham that Sean Dyche said McNeil played his best match of the season. He had a 16-point floor home against Tottenham. Before that, 11-point floor, 7,400. That's probably the first look in cash games, but just in terms of that, 9,100 for Ronaldo. He's minus 165 to score. How popular do you think Ronaldo is going to be in cash games just because of the goal scoring odds there?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he probably will be pretty popular, right? His goal scoring odds are by far the best, and then there's just who else do you want to play? I wrote about McNeil just because I think he's the first forward that has set pieces. No forward above McNeil has set pieces. Maybe Coutinho. I mean, he took a couple last week, but that was the first time. So who knows? McNeil and Burnley, they've been better lately. McNeil's shown a higher floor lately. Ashley Westwood's been out though. Got to keep that in mind. I don't know if McNeil would have less of a role on sets when he's back. But I don't know, and I'm talking about McNeil now, but he's still not like somebody I want to play. Like he's fine in cash games. I mean, but I think just for that reason, people will probably go up to Ronaldo. I don't know. What do you think?
I think people first look to McNeil. I mean, he's 7,400. I guess it's a question of like Crystal Palace, almost 50% winning odds here, 1.47 implied goals, and then you got Burnley at 0.94. Like you could, I know on Michael Elisa is midfield only, but like if you're in just ignoring forward here, like he's 7,900. Like if that's the possibility you have, but obviously not forward eligible. You also highlighted Mbeumo, but again, I don't think you're looking at him in GPPs. I'm not even sure I'm looking at him in cash games, to be honest. Like, is no one that really, catches your eye just for cash? I feel like we've had, a few slates like this in recently. Like, I'm not sure how popular Zaha is going to be at 9,600. Like he's had a decent floor in recent matches, and like he's coming off that brace and everything, but 9,600 just doesn't make sense in terms of cash games. So he's probably like, why wouldn't you just go? Like the reasonable method is why wouldn't you just go Ronaldo for cheaper with much better goal scoring odds here? Zaha's at plus 230, like
Right, like
at 9,600. So
you can't play Zaha in cash. I mean, not at that price. You just play Ronaldo, but you're right. No, none of these cheap guys like stand out for me. I mentioned Mbeumo. I mean, he's been taking set pieces. He'll probably continue to take a few. He plays 90 minutes. He can score goals too. I think he probably should have had a few more goals this season. Again, not like an option I love, but I do think he's a decent GPP play. So I'll have him. I'll have him in tournaments just because he's cheap. Any of these guys can score a goal, and it just playing one of these guys makes it easier to play Ronaldo or Bruno or whoever you want to play in tournaments too. Zaha. You're gonna have to spend down. Like, just none of the options are great.
Yeah, I might even consider, like, you got Jay Rodriguez down here at 4,800. Like, he's not He's not
I think it's fine.
exciting. He doesn't do, he doesn't, I don't, he's not a guy that I look forward to playing, but he's 4,800 going against Crystal Palace. Like they're a team that allow goals, and 4,800, like what, like compare Jay Rodriguez to like Marcus Rashford here at 8,200. I know Rashford has a better matchup, but it's not like Rashford has been any better in fantasy and DFS than Rodriguez this season. Like I know that the matchup's different, but like he's half the price. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not a Jay Rodriguez guy, but I pretty much agree with you. Like if he starts, I'll play him in some tournaments for sure. I guess you could play him in cash. I don't know. I mean, I'd rather like get up to a guy with a little better floor, but maybe it doesn't matter if you just jam in all the best expensive plays, and that's what you need to do. For tournaments, it wouldn't be a podcast if we didn't bring up Chris Wood, 5,200, decent goal scoring odds, still has yet to score for Newcastle. However, I mean, look at this. He's gone 90 minutes in all 5 of his Newcastle starts. That's very encouraging. He's playing against Brentford. Very encouraging. So like you pretty much just, it's one of those things. Give me any, striker in the Premier League for 5,200 that's going to play 90 minutes against Brentford, and I'll definitely play them. So maybe I'll lose more money with Chris Wood, but one of these days he's going to score.
he'll score away to Manchester City or something, or
Right.
or
Yeah, that's right. That's what happens.
against
Exactly.
Chelsea, against one of the teams that no one's gonna have him on. He's gonna be 4K against one of the top sides, and it would be like, oh, of course, there's his goal, and then he doesn't score again. So
Right. Yep.
I would.
Go
I'll
ahead.
mention here that so Joel Linton is 5,400. I would maybe watch out for the lineup. I know he's playing in midfield role now, but so Alan St. Maximin's probably not gonna be able to start. He was in Monaco rehabbing a calf issue this week. Eddie Howe said, he still has a chance. I don't think he really has a chance, but he probably won't start. But also Ryan Fraser picked up a hamstring issue, so he may not start. Like if both those guys aren't starting, there's a chance Joelinton moves up into that top attacking 3, which would make him probably more appealing than Chris Wood, just at 5,400, and is a guy who's going to get 90 minutes too. So that's something I'd look at. I'd like him more than Chris Wood. Like if that's a route you want to take, though.
Yeah, I don't mind Joe Linton either. Probably has a better floor than Wood. Maybe, not as good of a chance at scoring, but you're right. If he plays forward, then yeah, they probably have about an equal chance of scoring. I know like Joe Linton isn't, I don't know. A lot of people just don't like to play Joe Linton. He's never owned. He kind of gets, talked bad about, but I like Joe Linton. I'd be okay playing him, especially against Brentford, and especially if he's gonna like play forward and go 90 minutes for sure.
Yeah, I liked him more in the past. Like he's been too expensive for like a midfield role the past month or so. It's like his price has dropped down, so it's more reasonable now that he's 5,400. Like I've
Right.
definitely played him, when he's in a forward role at 5K or something. But that'll be something to look out for. I think there's there's a lot of different ways to go just for GPPs, cash games. It's kind of, I guess it's kind of the same situation. I mean, you could start with Ronaldo and McNeil and go from there, but there's no real set answers. But I think in GPPs, I kind of like, going against Manchester United. The odds don't say it. Manchester United 47% clean sheet percentage. I'm not I'm not too big on that number. I think Watford are going to steal a goal in this spot. And you got Sarr at 6,200, and you got Dennis at 5,700. Even where's Josh King 5,000? I don't like him, but but like those guys, I think are pretty interesting on this slate because I don't think they'll be looked at much, like just by looking at the odds. But I think those guys will be someone to consider just for tournaments at least.
Yeah. They make, yeah, it's just not a spot where I usually go, but it doesn't mean they're not decent tournament plays. Like I agree, just because no one's going to own them. You could get a goal out of one of them. I probably won't go there. I don't mind Josh King 5K though, just because he's on pens. I mean, you can always get a pen. Saar could win a pen. So sure. I mean, if you're going to play Jay Rodriguez for 48K, you can play, or for 4,800, you can play Josh King for 5K, you know?
Yeah. Does
Yeah.
anything else stand out to you? Like Coutinho's 8,100, Maupay 6,900. I guess Mateta, if he starts again, 6,500. Does anything really stand out to you? It's kind of
Um,
Watkins 5,900 if he's back in the 11 for Ings who's 5,400. It's
yeah,
kind
like
of
Watkins is a decent tournament play at that price. Same with like Weghorst. But no, to answer your question, actually nothing stands out to me. So, this will have people looking at United even more. They got guys, relatively cheap that are going to start. I think both Elanga and Sancho, at least one of them will start. I think people will roster whoever it is quite a bit.
jumping off forward here. So all these three matches outside the Manchester United one have low implied goal totals. Do you have any inclination or any thoughts of one of these that could, have the 2-2, 2-1 result, that the over 2.5 goals? Any of these, like Aston Villa match, trying to get, another win kind of thing? Brighton, their back line struggling, gave up 3 to Burnley last home match.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick one, it'd be that one. It'd be the Brighton match. Coming off that horrible performance, against Burnley, they play better at home. I definitely think they're going to score. And then Villa, they've struggled too recently after like a really good start under Gerrard. And we did just see like a week or two ago that 3-3 game against Leeds. So you can see this game like being back and forth. Yeah, that's one I'd pick if I had to. These games are pretty bad. I mean, Palace, Burnley, Brentford, Newcastle. Yeah, I don't know. It's just not good teams. And then Newcastle's got a bunch of injuries. Brentford kind of does too. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'd pick the Brighton game if I had to.
Yes, is not fully opposite of the 6 game slate we had last weekend, but definitely less exciting. I feel like we could have mentioned every guy on the slate last week, and we would have been excited about them. But of course, the first 2 goals I think on that slate were Burnley away to Brighton. So so there you go. And maybe this one
Yep.
will be the opposite. But so we mentioned Ronaldo at 9,100. Now we got to dip into midfield here. Bruno Fernandez is 10K. That's a lot here. That's a lot for Bruno if he's losing set pieces. You think Alex Telles is going to start after coming on for Luke Shaw midweek? It's very possible. No matter who starts between Shaw and Telles, it seems like Shaw was taking some set pieces more recently. But I mean, you look at Bruno's recent results; it's kind of hard to ignore him at the 10K though, especially against Watford here.
Yeah. Everything you said. Yeah. I think people are just going to jam him in still for 10K, and it's hard to argue that. Looking at what he's been doing, even if, I think he'll take some corners, but I think I think Telles or Shaw will take more of the corners. So, you'll have Bruno taking some sets, but yeah, he just does plenty else. So I think I think people are just going to jam him in. I think he'll be really popular. And it's not that I don't like him. I do. But he's 10K, and he's not for sure going to score 20 points. So I think you can fade in tournaments. Cash games, you probably just play him. especially if everybody else is going to play him. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, after getting done with our forward conversation, it kind of seems like Bruno is like, even though he's maybe not worth the 10,000, like you kind of got to play him in cash games. He's probably going to be over 50%. And like he's a guy where we've seen his recent results. Like if he gets on the score sheet, like you're not going to cash uh,
Right.
without him in your lineup. And I mean, on the opposite side of that for GPPs, like he's an easy fade. We saw recently with Southampton match, he barely did anything. 6.4 points in that one. Like that could easily happen, but that's not going to kill your cash lineup if that happens. That's what as
Right.
for GPPs, that's obviously going to kill you. So
one thing I'll say for GPPs, like if Bruno fails and has one of those 6-7 point games, it's because United got 2 first half goals, or they're up 3 early in the second half and Bruno wasn't involved. So you probably want some other United, at least one other United piece, or else if it's 0-0, Bruno's going to get there when they're chasing the game. So yeah, just something to keep in mind for tournaments.
yeah. So Conor Gallagher here, 8,400. This is too much for Gallagher, correct?
Yeah, it's a good. I think he's priced that way because it's a good matchup. They're the second biggest favorite on the slate, and if Olise doesn't start, he's been taking like most of the set pieces, and he scores goals. So, yeah, maybe the price does, it sort of does make sense based on that, but I agree. Like it feels like it still feels steep. Just if he's splitting sets and playing in central midfield, his range of outcomes is wide. Like he's bailed himself out with goals a number of times. So yeah, like if Olise is also starting, I just don't have much interest in Gallagher at that price. But if Olise is not in there, yeah, he seems like a pretty decent play. Just matchup's good, and there's not too much else.
The goal scoring odds that I'm looking at on our cheat sheet seem weird here. So Conor Gallagher is plus 210, and then you got Zaha plus 230, Matetas plus 250. Uh, seems off. Okay, and
I
then you
mean,
also got
honestly, like that seems crazy. I mean, like
something's not right.
Zaha, like that. Those numbers make it seem like Gallagher would have penalty kicks
Right,
because
right.
not only does Zaha have a better chance to score an open play, he also has PKs. So his odds should be like twice, 3 times as good as Gallagher's, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then for Brighton, we also have so you got Maupay at plus 155, which is fine, but then you have McAllister at plus 220 and Danny Welbeck at plus 220 as well. Something's wrong here, but I
That's probably
guess
Mopai's penalty kicks.
yeah.
I
Well,
guess.
I'm just saying Welbeck should be higher than McAllister. Just because he plays as a forward, just seems off here. But as we look at the
Yeah,
goal odds,
I mean, that one
I,
seems okay to me too.
yeah, I believe these are at FanDuel. So if you want to capitalize on these goal odds, go there. But otherwise, for midfield, so we got. Speaking of McAllister, he's at 7,500. He kind of blew it for us last weekend, and maybe that's a reason to stick on him. And maybe hopefully he turns it around. And as I say that, like he still had 9 points, so it's not like he completely busted with 3 and was subbed off in the 60th minute. So in this range though, we have Elisa at 7,900, McAllister at 7,500. That's kind of it. Like I guess you can also throw McNeil in here, forward eligible at 7,400. Um, that's probably the range. Are you looking at either of these guys? I say they're probably more of cash plays than anything. So you're probably not going after them in tournaments though.
No. I think they're both good tournament plays too.
Okay.
I should say because we always like make a distinction about that I don't play cash, or they're probably cash plays or tournament plays. Well, the tournaments that I'm most focused on are the high buy-in small field ones, which have, usually have 60, 75, maybe 100 people. So my lineups are, somewhat similar to a lineup I'd put in a cash game. I'm looking for like, the 4 or 5 just who I think are the lock cash plays, the best cash plays. And usually I'll have some sort of combination of that with a few tournament options. So I'm still thinking, about floors the same way you would in a cash game. With Olise and McAllister, I like both of them for tournaments because they both score goals. So they have like a set piece floor, and then when they score a goal, they put up a big number. So those are the type of guys that I like to play. Yeah, I think they're both good tournament plays. It's hard not for me to lean McAllister just because we were on him so heavy last week. I've been on him the whole season pretty much, or at least recently. But if he starts without Gross, like, just seems like a good bounce back spot. Home to Villa, a good bounce back spot for Brighton, who needs something positive. So yeah, like, it's a time to go back to him when maybe other people won't. And it's not that I don't think he's like a smash play. We mentioned last week that he would take all the set pieces if Gross was out. He still only took about half. Cucurella took a couple. I think Trossard took one. Somebody else did two. I don't remember, but
Yeah, Motor took one. March took one.
Yeah. I still like McAllister though. Yeah, I'd expect him to take, half the corners and have a few chances to score. And yeah, like, there's just not much else besides that. Looking like cheaper, Buendia, Pogba, tournament plays, sure.
Yeah, go with Pogba at 6,600. Good luck with that one.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has goal and assist upside. So I mean, if you're playing him in tournaments, it's for a goal or an assist.
Yeah.
But he's not going to get there with a floor playing defensive midfielder, at least in the midfield too. Christian Erickson, he's supposed to play, isn't he? Yeah.
I don't think he's
Probably
going to
not start though.
Yeah, he's not going to start. That's the thing. So
Right. Okay. So he'll come on. He'll probably come on and take Brentford sets in the second half.
yeah, speaking of Brentford sets, Matthias Jensen is healthy again, and yeah, he went off early last match, and he's 4,400. So there's a possible set piece taker there on a home team. So
Janelt, I think would take instead of Jensen.
If it's Janelle, okay, yeah, Janelle, then
he has in the past. If Jensen's not in, like, I'd expect him Buemo and Janelt, however you say his name,
yeah. It looks like those guys would be in Buemo and Janelle in there. Okay,
but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't love any of those Brentford guys because just because, for one, and then Erickson's coming on. It says Erickson, will make the pitch at some point. I mean, he's going to come on at home, so he's going to come on for one of those guys. He's going to take sets probably. That's a downgrade to those Brentford mids.
Yeah, this slate seems like a value midfield slate where it's just like all these guys down here are okay plays, and like they're not gonna ruin your lineup kind of thing. Like John McGinn's dropping in price now. He's 5,600. Like he's back into the conversation. Like Jacob Ramsey's 4,900, going cheaper. Like that's, I don't know. Jacob Ramsey might be like one of your favorite plays here. I don't know. No, John Joe Shelby hasn't been back on sets at all, so I'm not going to talk about him. Douglas Luiz at 4,400 as well, no longer on sets, so off of him. But we got Jacob Motor down here, our guy, 4,200. Even in 55 minutes last match, still 5.7 points. Like, he's still playing more in a more attacking role. And we've mentioned Hughes before at 3,900. The chance of set pieces, depending on Crystal Palace's lineup. Again, this is a short week for Crystal Palace, so there could be some rotation, and that could allow for Hughes to at least have a split on set pieces. And then everyone's favorite Josh Brownhill is at 3,600. You got to think that Brownhill will be popular in all kinds of competitions here. 3,600 coming off his two recent results, and like I assume, like even if Westwood starts, people will be looking at Brownhill, correct?
Yeah. So as crazy as it sounds, if Westwood doesn't start, I think Brownhill's just like the best play on the slate, or he's just like not the best play, but just the first guy in my lineup, like pretty much a lock. He's been great the last two games without Westwood, splitting set pieces, attacking, and Brownhill. Like I've always kind of liked Brownhill. He's a good player. It's just been tough for him to show it at Burnley, and it seems tougher for him at least attacking when Westwood's in there. But with Cork, seems to free him up a little bit. And just 3,600 taking sets. Burnley's been playing well. Also, if you're Burnley, you've been in last place for most of the season. You just won 2 games in a row, both clean sheets. I mean, how can you just can't put Ashley Westwood back in? I don't care if he plays every game and he's the captain. I mean, you're on a 2-game winning streak, playing well, climbing out of relegation. I don't know. Maybe they will, but I couldn't do it.
To be fair, Jet Cork is 32 years old, and this will be like his third start in the matter of 7 or 8 days. So I will say that's something, a reason why Westwood could return to the 11. I'll say.
Yeah. Okay. So then for DFS, if Westwood's back, I mean, if Brownhill didn't have any sets, like I don't want to play Brownhill. I mean, if it's the same Brownhill that we've seen for, the first 18 games of the season, I don't want to roster him. And, people probably will. So then, I probably wouldn't in that case. Although, who's to say that Westwood starts and Brownhill doesn't keep his row on sets? I doubt that would happen. I mean,
Right.
hasn't before. I mean, I guess I wouldn't play Brownhill if Westwood starts, but if Westwood is not in there, like Brownhill is the first guy in my lineups. All these other guys you mentioned, I don't want to play any of them really in tournaments. I'd be fine going back to Motor because at least he has upside. That really hurt when he got subbed at 55 minutes. All those games in a row playing 90. Yeah. I'd go back to Motor.
You don't like Ramsey?
Oh yeah, I don't mind Ramsey. It's sort of away to Brighton is a spot that I normally avoid. Like I just have last year, this year. So when I see it, sometimes it's why I wasn't considering Ramsey, I guess. But it's not that I'm not considering him. I'm just not as high on him as normal. Maybe that's, I'm not saying that's correct. It's just something that I've been doing. But yeah, I like Ramsey. We've talked about him. Great player, goal upside. The type of guy you roster in tournaments.
Yeah, Brighton's last home game, 3-0 home loss against Burnley. I assume that repeat result is not going to happen. They do get back.
I mean,
they get back Lewis Dunk, who was suspended for that match. So that is at least a boost.
Yeah, remember we brought up every keeper except Pope because I just said that Brighton were going to put 3 past him and win. But
wait,
anyway,
are we sure? Are we sure? I don't know. I could have sworn I mentioned Pope doesn't have a negative.
We did. We definitely did.
Oh, okay. All right. Because I keep saying Pope doesn't have a negative point total yet this season. So, but defense. Kieran Trippier is 8,600. Wow. Okay. Yeah, he's not playing. So we got Alex Telles here at 7,300. You think he's going to start? 7,300, home against Watford, and then you got Luke Shaw at 6,400. So you like Telles here at 7,300?
Yeah, I do. The price tag looks a little high. So, and there are other good defenders on this slate, like quite a few of them. So automatically, it's not like a must, but just in general, yeah, I like Tellus because I think he would take a majority of the corners, like definitely more than Bruno, and it's just a good spot. He's more attacking than Shaw. He's looked good. He looked good against Atletico. So yeah, I think even for 900 more, I'd almost like him more than Shaw. But if Shaw starts, yeah, obviously that's fine too. Shaw made me sick. I rostered him in the Champions League. He scored 2 points, and every other defender in that range scored 16. I think there were 3 of them. But anyways, yeah, I like Tellus. Going down from there, they have Frazier back at defender. I just
Yeah, what?
very weird.
What
We
is
finally
that?
got him off defender. He took a couple corners last week, but Matt Target took most of the corners.
Yeah, he basically
I
took
think,
Trippier's role.
yeah. So I think in a matchup against Brentford, I think I would lean Target as the next defender, and he's like right there with Dina, who has been taking most of Villa's corners recently. So I think him and Target are similar. I just slightly side with Target just based on the matchup. Lamptey, great for tournaments. Played 90 minutes in his last 2 starts, so that's something new.
This
And
seems
then,
like a 3 defender slate. Am I correct?
yeah,
Like there's just all these
yeah.
guys above
No, you are.
5K.
You are. The one. Sorry, I'm just thinking like if we get Brownhill without Westwood, then like maybe not, just because Brownhill could be that flex spot if you don't use him at util. But or else, yeah, like the defender options are good enough where 3 of them looks pretty good, even in tournaments. Like there's a chance I might have 3 in those bigger tournaments.
Yeah, even like you have 5,400 for Jacob Murphy. Like he took the spot of St. Maximin last match, went the full 90 as a forward, and like he had 9.5 points, like 54. Like he's basically the opposite side of Ryan Frazier. Like probably want Frazier because of set pieces for cash games, but Murphy just seems like the pivot in tournaments. I mean, I still think he's even usable in cash games though. Just like he's a forward at 5,400 for as a defender. So
Yep, love that call. Actually, yeah, I do. Um, yeah, like Frazier would be more popular, and Murphy's just as good of a play in my opinion if he would start at forward again, and he'd be less popular. So, yeah, I think he'd be fine in cash games too. Good tournament play, definitely.
yeah, not to
Cucurella,
mention, yeah, go ahead.
sorry. Yeah, no, just Cucurella took a couple sets. If Brighton line up with Cucurella and Lamptey on the wings, I'd really like them for tournaments, much better than if they were in a back 4. Kiko Femenia keeps taking all the sets for Watford. Keeps getting there. I can't do it. I can't do it in this spot though. Away to United. Yeah, I
Yeah, I
don't know.
had to look up recent Manchester United results. They don't allow that many corners, so like you're paying for set pieces right there, and they just don't happen. I think the most they gave up was 4 to Southampton. So like at max, maybe you're getting 4 corners out of Femenia there at
Yeah,
5,100.
that's a helpful stat actually. That really makes me not want to roster Firmino because he's not going to do much in open play in that matchup. Um, yeah, anybody lower? I'm scrolling down. Is there anybody cheap you like or mid range?
I mean, there's plenty of GPP players here. Like if you want to go, if you want to go with like Kanosh, you want the center back goal. Harry Maguire's 4,400. No one's gonna have him in their lineups. But yeah, it's
Uh,
as for cheaper plays, it's kind of
Emil Kraft might play right back for 3,200. Not the worst. He had 5 crosses last game against West Ham.
Yeah, I just feel like if you want to play, I guess this will be like your utility spot, like if you're paying down for defender. But at that point, like let's say Westwood does start, and like you have 3,600 for utility spot. Like you're looking at Brownhill or like any of these defenders, Kraft, any like center backs, Lindelof, he's been starting. Uh, like why, like would you rather want Brownhill or like hope for a random goal from one of these center backs?
Mm, yeah. Give me Brownhill, even without sets. Give me Brownhill.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I just don't think you shouldn't have 3,600 in your second defender spot in on this slate.
No.
Like the
I
only
mean,
reason that would like you, I guess it'd be for the people going Ronaldo and Bruno. I
mhm.
guess in that situation, you'll probably be stuck with maybe a punt at defender, maybe a punt at midfield. But I just don't like the build where like you're throwing away these defenders who have 10+ point floors. Like you're throwing away the targets, the Dinas, and then you got the Newcastle guys, Lamptey. Like you're throwing away these guys. It just doesn't make sense that you'd be stuck with a punt defender really in your second spot.
Yeah, I agree with you. 3,200 for Kraft, sure, is fine if you want to get a like you said, Ronaldo, Bruno. But yeah, I agree with you. I want 2 of the expensive guys, maybe 3.
Yeah, so that's pretty much where we're going. And then goalkeepers. Like as I said before, Manchester United 40, almost 47% chance for a clean sheet. De Gea's 5,800. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know. Something in the back of my head is saying like Sar, Dennis are going to combine for a goal. It just seems like this is a matchup where it's going to happen. United, they didn't look really that great midweek against Atletico Madrid, and they allowed 2 goals against Leeds before that. I don't know. Are you spending up for De Gea here?
I don't know, but definitely go with your gut. I mean, don't roster De Gea if you think Watford are going to score.
Oh,
United,
personally, I'm not. I'm not going De Gea. Not me.
okay, yeah, me. It's possible, if I got Brownhill and maybe someone else, if I can get up to De Gea, I do think it's the best spot still. I mean, obviously they're home against kind of a bad Watford team. Doesn't mean, yeah, it doesn't. I can see Watford scoring too, though. Like I see what you're saying. United have disappointed many times, and they've been allowing some goals, like you said. But yeah, like Palace have what 40% clean sheet odds. Clean sheet odds. I still don't want to roster Butland, but
No,
he'll probably.
I think you just go down to the next 4 goalkeepers. Like all those guys are fine. Like I
I
don't
agree.
see like all those guys could have away clean sheets. Like Dubravka 4,600, Martinez 4,500, Pope 4,200. Like it wouldn't be surprising at all for all of them to have clean sheets. Like it's not like these Crystal Palace,
Right.
Brighton, Brentford are high scoring teams. So
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Just probably not Foster, at least for me.
yeah.
Um, of course, he can do it, but yeah, no, I agree. Like 4,200 for Pope, um, 2 clean sheets in a row for Pope, 5 clean sheets in the last 7. I mean, that's just crazy considering where Burnley are. But 4,200 for a keeper against Palace. Like we normally see 4,200 keepers against, I don't know, Arsenal or Tottenham or something like that. It just seems like, more even of a matchup. Yeah, I know it's Palace are still decent favorites, but for me, I agree with you. Like it's not going to surprise me if any of these cheap keepers get a clean sheet. Same for Brentford and Brighton too. Like I don't mind Raya or Sanchez for tournaments.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, all these games have low implied goal totals, so in theory, all of these goalkeepers can be considered. That's kind of
Yeah.
why I'm off De Gea for
Yeah, no,
paying
it
up for
makes
De
sense.
Gea.
Like you're right because it's there's a good chance that another, if De Gea gets a clean sheet win, there's a pretty good chance that another keeper is going to get a clean sheet win as well.
Yeah, I guess the problem is De Gea's just making all these saves, and what if he
Right.
gets the 4 save clean sheet win, and then like he's up at 20 points, and
Right.
you're stuck with, I don't know, not a clean sheet, I guess. So
Goalkeeper, man. Yeah. Endless headaches and the cause of just endless tilt. You just gotta hope to get lucky, I guess.
yeah, so that's what we got here. What are we pointing out here? I don't know. This has been kind of you got these 3 matches that nothing really stands out. I don't know who I'm actually going to be leaning on here for production for my team. Do you want to point out anything else here before we go?
Um
Should we go
yeah.
with like we stack in? I don't know. I kind of think Aston Villa are going to win for some reason, but like you said, it's not a good idea to go against Brighton at home. But I
No,
kind of
dude, don't take what I said. We just saw them lose 3-0. I mean, the reason that I've done it, I could have expanded a little more is because, Brighton have been one of the better teams in possession, and then they've also been better at home and better in possession at home. So like at least for a lot of the times they just weren't allowing as many chances and weren't giving up as high of floors. Now that doesn't mean teams can't put goals past them, but that's just the reason.
I will say that I would watch out for the Brighton matchup. So I think if they go back to their like 3-man back line, I think I would not go Villa, but their 4-man back line with like Joel Veltman playing as a center back, I'm not a huge fan of, and that's what they used against Burnley in their loss, and that's something I'd watch out for. Like if that's the case again, like they go Dunk and Veltman there, I would kind of go with Coutinho and whoever starts at forward. I would look at that route, but again, this is something that it depends on what the lineups look like. So just something that you got to wait on. But uh, yeah,
I mean, it seems like every guy I've ever like called out for a big game on the podcast always fails. So I don't.
whoa, 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 whoa,
This
whoa, 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 Anthony Gordon.
Oh, right. We've done. It's been. I mean, Anthony Gordon. That was like more you though. That was pretty. I just sort of like piggybacked. Um, but yeah, you're right. There's been some good ones too recently. I'm gonna go. I mean, I don't think you'd probably never guess it. I'm gonna go Brian Mbuemo.
Yeah, he's in your article.
Mbuemo. He's gonna have a few set pieces. Build up a little bit of a floor, then get a goal, and probably give us 20 points.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Get that goal against Newcastle. I think they've allowed 3 goals in the last 5 matches. So Tony's back though. That'll take away defensive attention to Mbuemo. So there you go. It makes sense. But actually, before we go, I wanted to bring up. So you just won this 10K here in a
Mhm.
showdown, and we got all these matches. We don't have anything previewing this slate that's about to come out. I just want to ask you for like just like your general strategy here in showdowns. Maybe not about like this Norwich Southampton match, which like you have the Ward Prowse and Rashika as obvious captains here for most people. But so you captain Chan, like he. So your thoughts on that? Like he's just a forward. He wasn't going to be popular. He has no floor, and like if he gets that goal, which he did, like he's just going to stand out above the rest. Is your favorite strategy like to take that route, or like for me personally, I sometimes play like an idiot, and I always captain goalkeepers, and I try to. That always gives you the big highs and the low lows, and like
Yeah.
right away if you're going to win or lose. But do you ever go goalkeeper? Or is it kind of like a you kind of go with that, less popular captain at a
Uh,
forward?
yeah, no, I still think goalkeeper is a really good captain option in showdowns. So I like that strategy. I do that pretty much every showdown, sometimes both keepers. He-Chan, yeah, that was one where, for the reasons you said, that he wasn't going to be popular and he can score a goal, but also the cheap captain is underutilized because they don't need to score the most points to be the optimal captain. And I know that sounds like simple, but like you can just make different constructions. Like Captain He-Chan or like Thomas Party, who I had some captains of too yesterday. And there was actually a Party captain, that was in first, like in the 80th or something, and he only had like 8 points. But it's because, that's the only way you could get in Saka, Lacazette, Martinelli. And, most people would captain one of those guys, and then you can only play one of the others. But, captaining a cheap guy, you get all those expensive guys in. Then if there's a gap between the expensive players and the cheap players, like a gap in fantasy points, that cheap captain is it's such a good chance to become optimal. The strategy obviously differs from depending on the game, but
yeah, like in this upcoming slate today, like I don't know, it just seems really hard for it seems like Ward-Prowse 20 points or something if Southampton win, but I mean obviously you can still go the Broha route, the Shea Adams route. So
yeah, this is a tough one. So like Ward-Prowse will be a very popular captain, and there's not a lot of other guys that you'd want to captain. And he's a good captain, but I play 20 lineups usually or thereabouts. So like I've got to get some kind of edge on the guys that are playing 150 or whatever the max is, or at least narrow it down a little. So like a thing that I'll normally do is like I won't captain like Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's like always the most popular. And it's not, he ends up the winning captain a lot. I just sort of don't want to make those lineups because there's so many combinations. And so like for this slate, maybe I'll be under on Ward-Prowse captain. I don't know. Like Southampton stacks are going to be like very chalky, and rightfully so. Like a home matchup against Norwich, and Southampton have been playing great. But so if you do like anything different, you can be unique like pretty easily. And just like so people know, like I played 20 lineups in that Arsenal showdown last night. I had 2 He-Chan captains. Like I only had 3 He-Chan total. So like you don't have to do much, but my 2 He-Chan captains, that's 10%, and he was 3% captained. It worked out. I don't know.
Yeah, a little extra knowledge here from Ryan Belongia coming off his 10K win, but I think that's all we got for today. Talking Saturday's 4-game slate, talking general showdown strategy. I just want to read a comment here. We had a recent comment off of Apple Podcast reviews here. I just want to read these off. For any new listeners, please give us a review. We always appreciate those. It was from NY Values. He said, key part of my process gets you close to most of the best plays and get a good feel for the chalk builds for tournament pivots. Hey, that's what we're here for. I like to say I'm the public. I'm the chalk guy, and then I'll say random stuff that doesn't help anyone. But Ryan's here. He's the sharp, and Jordan, he's the sharp, and they'll give you that information. So I think we have a good build here of information going at you, and that's kind of the goal with these. And so we'll continue
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah. Have fun doing them, and don't sell yourself short. You've been getting a lot right lately. I'm glad. Yeah, that's a nice comment. I hope that's what everyone's getting out of it.
Yeah, for sure. But if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're getting the subscribers up. Make sure to like this video. And Ryan, you can find him at Ryan Belongia. I am at Zdroik. We both work at RotoWire. If you want extra details about RotoWire, rotowire.com/soccer trial. You can get a free 10-day trial. You can get all the stuff. You can use their cheat sheet that I've been using on YouTube if you've been watching. But Ryan, this has been a fun show for the 4-gamer. I guess it's been kind of fun here, just talking about these teams. I don't know. It's you got these iffy teams here, but it's been fun for the most part, I'll say.
Let's try to keep this streak going. Yeah, it's been fun.
All right, Ryan. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see everyone next week. I don't think there's Champions League, so I think we'll be back with some Premier League discussion. Thanks, Ryan, and thanks for